There's the coffee. Sorry.
Hey, give him some coffee.
Thank you, Todd. I do. It's very beautiful. Okay, I got coffee and I got an empty plate. It only needs a sermon. Do I look like I need more food, Ted?
You're holding the plate.
Should we take a poll? Does Pastor need more food? You have to eat. Really? Has brought me a Santa Claus suit because I'm playing Santa Claus at his store on the 22nd. And across the front it says 3XL. And most people who putting on a Santa Claus suit that's 3XL, they would be stuffing the thing with pillows. Me? I'm hoping I fit into it. I'm just hoping that when I sit down in the chair, the button doesn't pop off and hit some kid in the eye. Because that is so my luck. I have an empty plate. Does anybody know what the empty plate represents?
Emptiness?
Happiness? What?
Emptiness.
Emptiness.
Your life.
I ate all the food, I'm happy now. There wasn't any food on it to start with. Yeah, go ahead.
What you want put on it?
What I want to put on it. Okay, that's good. Not what I'm thinking, but good.
It's open to receive.
It's open to receive. So,
Are you ready for what's going to go on?
okay, if I'm going to put something on it, what would I put on it?
A cake.
A cake.
Pie.
A cake. I
Pie.
hate cakes. But
Pie.
anyway,
Cheesecake. That's why I said cake. He likes it.
He likes
I don't
cake.
want that. Give it to him.
Huh?
Strawberry pie.
Strawberry rhubarb.
There you go.
The rhubarb pie that Grandma Necker made way back when that didn't make it from her house to me because my wife decided that she wanted to eat it. So I missed out on the rhubarb pie being on my plate and filling my belly and making me happy.
You wouldn't have liked it, so you should thank her for that.
No, I would have liked it.
Did you
Her rhubarb pie was amazing.
Did you
almost
ask her?
as good as my roast beef at the cafe. I said almost. You did eat it. Stop it. My empty plate represents our time that we spend with God in a week. Oops.
It's not looking good for us, is it?
Oops. So do I dare ask the question? Please don't answer if I ask. How much time have you spent with God this week?
An hour a day.
Maybe.
An hour a day?
Read the
Really?
Bible. Yeah, pray.
You read the Bible an hour a day. James is doing okay. That's part of his school, y'all. So he's trying to look good, but we force him to do that. I got this big old belt. Yeah, it's big because I'm big around. So I got this big old belt, and I pull it out. And if he's not reading his Bible for school, ooh, yeah, it's fun. You know, it is Christmas time. Most of you know it's my favorite time of year. I absolutely love Christmas. There is no other time of the year that I like better than Christmas except deer hunting. But Christmas is my favorite this side of deer hunting season. because deer hunting is a season, at least here in Michigan. We know we get school off for deer hunting, right? Yeah. No?
Some schools have open days.
I always got deer season off, at least opening day.
Mom, Dad, let you skip?
In Carsonville, yeah, the school shuts down because there's nobody left. Everybody's gone.
It's still that same way now. They still don't have school on open day.
Really?
Pet needed to do that.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to go longer in the summer.
So anyway, we've got Amazon going on, and I have bought a lot of things on Amazon this year. I like to shop on Amazon. They've got this new thing out where you can donate to your favorite charity if you buy on Amazon, and so CrossCulture's not on there, so I donate to Liberty University. Every time the cafe buys something, every time we buy something, Liberty University gets a cookie on their plate, so to speak, and it's not much, but it's a little bit. So, I've spent quite a bit of time shopping on Amazon and looking at all the deals, and what can I fill my plate with? And craft show yesterday, people came out to see what they could buy for Christmas, and then Black Friday, there was people all over the place seeing what they could buy for Christmas, and their prayer plates are completely empty. We can call this a God plate. Their God plates are completely empty, but you know what? They're concentrating on things of the world. And that's not my problem. I've just been so busy that I don't know if I listen close enough to what God's saying. Y'all ever been there? Where even if you do spend time in the Word, it's hard to listen close enough to God. And, I did a sermon a couple of weeks ago on Elijah and how he was listening to God in the wrong things. And he was listening to God in the storms, and he was listening to God throughout all these places. But God's voice was that still, small voice that was kind of in the shadows. And yet, we stay so stinking busy that we can't hear God's voice. And I'm listening to God right now. I need somebody, and I did this morning at the cafe. I'm going to do it again. I need somebody to give me a book of the Bible. Psalms. You had to pick Psalms. I need somebody to give me a chapter.
40.
Somebody different to give me a chapter.
40.
I feel like I'm being set up here.
23.
Psalms 40:23. Yeah, but you already said 40, so now you said 23. So I'm in Psalms 40. There's not 23 verses in Psalms 40. There's only 17 verses in Psalms chapter 40. Somebody give me...
So it's going to be a short sermon.
7 million.
11? 11. Do not withhold your tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let your loving kindness and your truth continually preserve me. I need my glasses on. Continually preserve me. Ooh. Is it up there? It is up there. Do not withhold your tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let your loving kindness and your truth continually preserve me. David is where? He's going through this stage in his life where he's constantly crying out to God. He's like, God, I absolutely need you. And then God will answer, and he'll feel better for a little while, and then he'll come back and be, God, I absolutely need you. So please, God, don't withhold your mercies from me. I need your mercy right now. And I think that this verse talks to each and every one of us today too, doesn't it? Because we need God's mercy. We are falling behind in our tasks that we're supposed to be doing for God. We're constantly struggling with life. We have a schedule, don't we? Unfortunately, my schedule no longer fits on a sheet of paper. I have to have my smartphone, and I've got a calendar on my smartphone, and there's no end to the list that I can put on each day. I'm like, God, I need you, because I can't do this by myself anymore. Have you been there? Lord, pour out your mercy on me, because I'm to the absolute end of myself. Do you hear David? Can you hear him in the words? Hurting, crying out. I'm there. I know you were there just a little while ago, weren't you guys? At the end of themselves. And they hit their knees and they said, God, you know what? We need you right now. Where's your mercy, God? We need you. And he showed up in a mighty way.
Yes, amen.
He has one more treatment coming up. One more, and he's through the other side. He's done. He'll be back to feeling normal, cancer-free, 100% cancer-free, because God is a merciful God. All we have to do is ask him. David here is asking. But yet, what do? We let our plates run empty, don't we? And we don't ask God. We don't take the time, unless we're driving down the road at 70 miles an hour. Tiffany got pulled over. Driving 68 miles an hour to get from point A to point B, because we're always running behind. We've always got so much to do that there's never enough time in the day. And what a deer runs out in front of us, and then what do? All of a sudden we put God on our plate, don't we? Oh, God, help me! Don't let me hit this deer, and if you do hit it, oh, God, I pray that the car still runs. And if you're in the ditch, you're like, God, I pray that my legs aren't broken. I pray that I don't have internal bleeding. But we wait until that time to say anything, don't we?
Till we want something.
Yeah, till we need, yeah. Till it's about us. Till it's all about us. Let your loving kindness and your truth continually preserve me. Continually hold me up. God, we know you're a loving God. And we have a hard time with that one, don't we? What about the things we go through in life? We throw our hands up and we say, why, God? Why? Why do I have to go through this? Why do you bring me struggles? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? For my kids, it used to be, why didn't I get what I wanted for Christmas? And that's an easy answer. Yeah, I didn't have the money to buy it for you. Let your loving kindness and your truth. Do we realize, or do you realize that there is no truth at all outside of God? God is the creator of truth. So I challenge you to tell me something that's true outside of God. Can you do it? You got an answer. Always got an answer. She's my smart aleck. Come on. Yeah, true. Y'all ever check out her Facebook stuff? She answers everything.
She is getting better though.
Oh, yeah, I could actually read it without saying, oh, I can't say those words. So there's nothing that's true on the face of the earth without God. And He continually holds me up in those truths with His loving kindness. Give me another book. Corinthians, first or second?
Somebody else has to choose.
First.
1 Corinthians. Somebody else give me a chapter. Go into the New
2.
Testament. 1 Corinthians chapter, did I hear 10? I said 10. I said 10. Okay, you set me up there.
Depends on if somebody else gives you the right verse.
Verse
2.
Okay, okay, I hear 2 first. I'm going to go to 2. We were. Wait. All were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea.
And now we're running into problems.
You just get past the computer stuff.
Huh?
You
Yeah.
just get past the computer stuff.
Yeah. All he has to do is type it. Maybe he's fast at typing. Because all he has to do is type it into the program. Oh my goodness. Why did y'all pick that? Okay. So sometimes you can get with the last verse, I gave you the context of the book, which helped us to understand the context of the verse, helped us to understand what the verse was talking about. This one has considerable difficulty with it. So we are going to read some of the verses before and after so we get the context. So you remember that we can't just say, okay, God, I need your encouragement today. Give me chapter and verse, give me something, and we flip open the Bible and we point at it, and that's what God wants us to know for the day, or that's our encouragement. We can't do that. It is not, that's not how God works. You would, more than likely, it would say chapter 13, and you'd be off filing bankruptcy. So, chapter 10, verse 1, Moreover, brethren, I do not want you to be unaware that all our fathers were under the cloud, all passed through the sea, and all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. All ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. But with most of them God was not well pleased, for their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. Now these things became our example in the intent that we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted, and do not become idolaters, as were some of them. As is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Nor let us commit sexual immorality, as some of them did, and in one day 23,000 fell, nor let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted and were destroyed by the serpents, nor complain, as some of them also complained and were destroyed by the destroyer. Now all these things happened to them as examples, and they were written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the ages have come. Therefore, let him who thinks he stands take heed, lest he fall. No temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man, but God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. What an interesting set of scriptures there, and I'm sure all of you are looking like, what's Pastor going to do with this? We see here a glimpse of the Old Testament and the Israelites, and how the Israelites would follow God a little bit, and then they would fall away, and they would follow God a little bit, and then they would fall away. And God's like, okay, I'm going to have to, since you won't continually follow me, I'm going to have to scatter you everywhere. And so he scattered the Jews. It's called the Great Diaspora, and they were dispersed all over the place. And even to this day, there are Jews scattered all over. God's people haven't been brought back together in one place. And that's what we're looking for, is that migration of the Jews back for the end times. We know that it started when they start to come back to Jerusalem. And we talk about, Jerusalem is now its own country, its own land. It's no longer owned by others. That happened in 1946, right?
The United States drew those lines after the Ottoman Empire fell, or after World War I.
Okay. That interesting side note there. I don't know, I've heard people say that the United States has a major deal to do with the second coming of Christ and the end of the world and all of that. And I don't see those lines those dots being connected in the Bible. But how God chooses to move forward is absolutely up to Him. And we see here the Israelites spread all over the place. I completely think. Lost my whole train of thought.
Sorry, Pastor.
Its own country.
Hmm?
They all are in their own place, their own country.
No, I was 4 steps after that. In my thinking, I was 4 steps down the.
And times approaches
You're
as
not
all
gonna
men come together.
You're not going to get there. You're not going to get there.
Okay,
You're not going to get there.
right.
No. So let's just skip and go. Therefore, let him who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. No temptation is overtaking you except such as common for man. God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you're able. And so we see the Israelites, and they didn't grab this whole idea that God was going to take care of them. They only accepted it for a short period of time, and then they stepped back and they said, you know what? I want to go out on my own. I want to do my own thing. And so they did their own thing, and then God would have to, by the prophets, pull them back, and then they would go off again. And so we see the same thing that we do in our lives, don't we? And we come to church, especially around Christmas time. We come to church, and we'd start to get things worked out. And then come the first of the year, the bills are piled up, so it's time to go back to our regular life, right? And so we go back to our regular life. We go back to how we were doing things. And then Easter rolls around, and we come back, and we follow what God wants for a little while, and then we fall away. Things haven't changed too much, have they? The Israelites did the same thing, and you know, when they were in the wilderness, they were under that cloud that watched over them, that cloud that protected them. And today, that cloud is the Lord Jesus Christ, that watches over us and protects us. Even when we fall away, God still watches over us and protects us. And He's still merciful to us. So, you know what, when our plates are completely empty, David cries out for mercy, and so we need to cry out for mercy because He's still watching over us. He's still protecting us. He's still limiting what kind of trouble we get into, because God never gives us more than we can handle. So I pray that you're in a good spot this Christmas. I pray that you're not in that area where you've fallen away. If you are, He's still there. He's watching over you. He's calling you back. He wants you to pay attention to Him. He wants you to live right. And we need to remember that Christmas is a time of new beginnings. Jesus gave us, by His birth, gave us a new start, a new beginning. And then He says in Revelation, and this I do for you, that you'll all be new, that you'll all have a fresh start. And that's through His loving kindness and His truth that He does that, and that we'll be able to bear whatever He hands out. So pray to God this Christmas time that He'll put some joy on your plates, that He'll put some peace on your plates, and that He'll put the biggest piece of turkey ever imagined on your plates. Your belly will be full, and you can take a nice restful nap. No, I know you're listening. But I also know what some people are thinking about right now. Red tab? Cinnamon roll. Let's pray. Lord God, we thank You for who You are. God, we thank You for Your scripture. We thank You for carrying us through. Thank You for Christmas. We thank You for Your blessings on us. I thank You, Lord, for humbling me this morning. God, for letting me know that, no, I can't do everything. And that I need to completely rely on You. And that I, like David, I need to cry out for Your mercy, for Your love, and for Your truth to fill me and help me through. So if we've learned anything this morning, God, maybe we've all learned that lesson. That we need You more every day. That we need You to fill our plates. And we can't ignore You. That You're the God of the universe and You control everything. Thank You for that. Thank You for carrying us through and not giving us more than we can handle. For it's in Jesus' name we pray.